How's it going, guys? A couple days ago, there was this big scare about a new raid coming out, Alpha 5. Not a new difficulty on the current Greek raid, Alpha, but a brand new raid. And it was going to have requirements for Astonishing X-Men and Web Warriors to be geared tier 16. A lot of people started panic building, and it started to generate a conversation about building up old teams, and some people had some weird projects, and so it started this big conversation. I had a lot of people messaging me like, hey, a lot of people said don't build X-Men, but I've been building them for raids because they watched a video however long ago. And same with Web Warriors. I've been maxing Web Warriors out. I brought them into Dark Dimension 5 because, lots of people did that when they did Dark Dimension 5. So because videos live so long, some of that old information just happens to be what people see. They don't see that maybe that YouTube video is 2 years old. Maybe they're not familiar with the mobile industry standard where things just kind of phase out power-wise super quickly. So in this video, and hopefully people will see this, we're going to talk about teams to not build in 2023, September, right? And of course, we'll talk about some caveats, some things that might change in the future, but we just want to give a little bit of a warning to people as they go. And there might be some teams here that you may be still working on that you might want to back off of. So let's get into that video right now. So here we are on our MarvelStrikeForce.com website, and the first thing I want to say is if you are a new player or mid-game player or whatever, it's pretty safe bet that everything that says new is a character that's probably going to be worth building. No, not probably. That is worth building for at least one mode. Does that mean that you should be focusing that? No. We talk about mode priority, arena number 1, raids number 2, War Crucible 3 and 4, depending on what you prefer. And then, we have events, pocket dimensions, Scourge, all that kind of stuff. And they kind of jump the queue sometimes, and sometimes you just completely ignore them, depending on where you are at the game. So let's start this list off, and it is just going to be a list of teams. It's like, just don't touch these teams anymore. So let's start this list off with Shadowlands and Hand. So Shadowlands right now, don't build them at all. The only world where Shadowlands would start getting some prominence is if they're the other team required for this coming legendary trial. And even then, I would say don't build them at all. The reason I could see Shadowlands coming in and being that second team is because they're a war team, just like the new Avengers are. And they're really fast. And because they're really fast, they can get in on a node. They can hit a character like the Eternals or a character like Dormammu or whatever the case may be, drop them below a certain life threshold, and then they just die. And they will just die. I mean, you're not going to get some sort of rebalancing dreamscape with Shadowlands with their current stats. So they would just die. But in doing so, they would negate some passives, and new Avengers could come in. And that's kind of been a trend for trials. But you don't need to build them up for that. Like, definitely don't be building up your Shadowlands at this point. They're not a good war team anymore. They were on war defense for a hot second, and now they're completely gone. The war landscape just completely shifted with nowhere. And now we're already in the Secret Defender. I call them seasons. So Hand, Elektra's on the Shadowlands team. Don't invest in her because it doubles up to Shadowlands. No. There's lots of characters that might be needed for a Flash event and that are needed on some sort of team. That doesn't mean that they are a no-brainer investment. Like Elektra, don't do it. Minimal investment for the Flash investment and for the Flash event. And when I say minimal investment, I mean like level 50 abilities 553, I think it is. Yeah, 553. And that'll get you through the Flash event. And even the Flash event, don't farm the shards for these characters if you're a new player. Let it happen organically. Most of these Flash events are not going to be worth it. They're definitely not worth the opportunity cost at building some like meta teams that you can actually have fun with now. The exception to that might be the Merc event, but even then, farming shards, wasting your energy on that, we're not going to go there. So definitely don't build Shadowlands, don't build Hand. Teams after that, we'll look at the Symbiotes and the Web Warriors. Look, the Symbiotes they're a completely dead team. And I know they're used to unlock, I believe it's Shuri. We're going to talk about what you need to do for Flash event characters and legendary unlocks. We kind of touched on it with Hand already. But don't build up Symbiotes. Do not farm Symbiotes. I know Symbiote Spider-Man is such a cool, iconic skin of a character. He's not good. His speed is outclassed. His focus is an issue at this point. Just don't build him up. Unless we get a null. I don't think we're going to be getting null for a while, though. We will be getting Symbiote Silver Surfer. but we don't know which symbiotes would make that jump. We kind of assume Venom would, we assume Carnage would, we assume Symbiote Spider-Man would, but then that doesn't make sense at that point, right? Unless we're getting like a magic style rework and 4 out of the 5 symbiotes make it, which I don't think will be the case. So I would just really, really hold off on doing anything with the symbiotes. And then the same thing goes with Web Warriors. So Web Warriors are a great new player team. They really are. They fall off super hard as soon as you get to like Doom 2. They're great in Doom 1. But Doom 1 is where we start hitting like the restricted titles anyway. So you would get the Web Warriors because they're super easy. We got Spider-Punk and Ghost Spider in the Arena store. Scarlet Spider is in the War store. That's not an easy farm, but it is an easy unlock. And then we have Miles and Spider-Man in the Blitz store. Spider-Man you get for free when you start the game. This is a team that's good for early game and nothing else. Don't put any T4s in this. Don't bring them past Gear Tier 14. Don't do anything like that. You're only using them until you get to the restricted raid difficulties, which doesn't take very long with the current catch-up mechanics. Now, I say that kind of facetiously because there's not many good catch-up mechanics, but just don't overinvest in your Web Warriors. Really fun team, really iconic team, so they're fun to get and to play with, but don't overdo it on them yet. And I don't foresee this team ever getting a rework. I don't know what world the Web Warriors would be getting a rework before like a dozen other teams. So don't waste too many resources in that. Say no to Minion teams. There's no Minion team in the game that's currently worth it. AIM, unless MODOK comes out, is garbage. Ravagers will never get another rework. Like Starlight T'Challa, unfortunately, kind of like Magic, came in, made the team semi-relevant in War for like 2 months, but now they're garbage. Ronin, the Kree team, they're really only good for Fury, but I hear they're giving Fury away, which is good because Fury's needed for invaders. You would just passively get Kree shards and then passively get your Fury higher. And again, you would bring them up to level 50, 5, 5, 3. And then the shield minions, yeah, even for Archangel guys, you don't want to build your shield minions up. And that we got to touch on that. So we don't know what's going on with the Scourge events. They've said this last run of their Scourges was going to be the last one they ever get with the leaderboard. We don't know if that's going to be true. We don't know what the next stage will be. So as far as unlocking Archangel goes, he needs minions on those first nodes. It would be the 3 Ravagers and then Merc Lieutenant, Merc Lieutenant is an okay character, but he's not used anywhere. So just because those leaderboards are so shrinking down as far as the amount of people that are participating in now, you would do such little investment. Honestly, you would do just enough to get the Archangel unlock and then sit and wait to see what the Archangel event is going to be like after that. So just say no to minions. No. Right? The limited X-Men teams. Yeah, there's lots of X-Men teams that are just no good. Some non-X-Men teams, but they're mutants that are not good. So Jubilee and the Astonishing X-Men look awful raid team at this point. They lack so much damage. They time out, and now they lack so much survivability. Now, they do tend to always try and reinvigorate the X-Men teams, whether it be through Crucible room rules or Crucible season rules. But we've seen that like 4 times in a row. So I wouldn't expect the next season to have anything related for mutants, even though Unlimited is that bad and they keep trying to make it a thing. It'll never be a thing. Jubilee is needed for the Adam Warlock. We'll talk about that in a bit. I didn't put Pimtech on this list, but Pimtech is a hard skip too. The only outliers would be Ant-Man and Yellowjacket for the Infestation team, but that is such a niche team that it's such a niche team for the Gamma Lane and for War Defense that's pretty much a skip too. So Pimtech, don't build up Pimtech. Just enough to unlock Jubilee, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. X-Force, gross team, awful everywhere. You can maybe make an argument that just having Cable on the field gives some value. X-23 as a plug-and-play in War had value about a year ago, but now even she is useless because of stats. So X-Force, don't build whatsoever. I know they unlock Doc Ock. We're going to talk about that at the end. And the Uncanny team, they're good for nothing. They're good for absolutely nothing. Phoenix, you can make an argument that she's a good Dark Dimension character just because she's cheap. And I would say, true. Just build Phoenix if you want that, though. The rest of the Uncanny X-Men team is worth none of your resources. Don't farm the shards. Don't level them up. Don't do anything like that. City characters that suck. Dark Hunters are a horrible team. They came in with one job. They were supposed to beat the Heroes for Hire team, and then along came a pre-taunt, and then they're gone. And then along came Captain America once we figured out how to bypass the pre-taunt. Now it's a 50-50. You never take 50-50s in war. Dark Hunters are an absolute horrid team. There's zero reason to build them up. Again, we need to wait and see what happens with the Morgan Le Fay event because they were, needed there. But we've already talked about Web Warriors. Web Warriors are a good opening team to build them up. You would just use them on the event. There's zero reason to build Dark Hunters. Not a single character on the Dark Hunter team is currently worth it. Then there's Heroes for Hire. Shang-Chi's an amazing character. Shang-Chi would get that like Phoenix treatment where you build him up as a plug and play character. Even on, if you start caring about war defense, having Shang-Chi on the field with 4 super undeveloped other characters, like 3 Heroes for Hire, 1 Pre-Taunt, that can still net you a random win. But the rest of the Heroes for Hire, not with your investment right now. So here's the thing. The Heroes for Hire team is probably one of the highest invested teams across the entire game. Because they came in and they were absolute war bullies for their entire life, up until recently. And they were using the Gamma Lane. But now, Secret Defenders can be used there. So the Heroes for Hire, they're falling off a cliff. And soon they're going to be completely gone. So there's definitely not the time to invest in them now. Even if you're a hardcore war player like me, it's not time to bring your Heroes for Hire from like level 90 to 95. They're about to be gone. There's lots of just new static characters. Even like the Bifrost team kind of demands a bigger team than what some Heroes for Hire demand. Like using Infinity Watch against Bifrost could be a really bad idea. So I'd just be really, really careful with this Hero for Hire. The one upside to them would be like Block Party. And I only say that because Secret Defenders can be used for Block Party, but Secret Defenders aren't farmable yet. Block Party is good for training materials like the T4s, but it's definitely not worth farming their shards, even if they're easy to farm. So yeah, watch out for those really, really bad city characters. Then we got some legendary bums. This is the most unfortunate part of this list. Is X Factor and Secret Avengers. There's so many secret new Warriors, Avengers, all that kind of stuff. They are needed for Adam Warlock is X Factor plus Jubilee. And Fury, who we don't mind building Fury, but Fury, I believe it's Winter Soldier, who we also don't mind building for now, Rebirth. We'll see how long that lasts. And the Secret Avengers are needed to unlock Omega Red. Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch team, they kind of seem to be evergreen. I think they're always going to have value. So it is a worthwhile team to chase, but not at the expense of current meta. Like Infinity Watch is old meta gods, and they'll probably remain like baby meta good for a long time. So that's a good one to chase. Omega Red, on the other hand, he's a good plug and play character, really good war team, but they're definitely not the war offense bosses that they used to be. So it's hard to justify what we have to do to unlock these characters. Because what we need to do to unlock these characters, you need to bring them up to gear tier 14, green ISO, which isn't that big a deal. And then get the stars. And that's for the 7-star unlock. That is a big, big, big investment. For new players, I definitely wouldn't suggest going super hard for Omega Red, even though he's so fun. Even though whenever a trial pops up that you could use him, he's going to have great value there. It's hard to say, but he shouldn't be a priority right now. Like the new Avengers, although people are super not interested in them right now, like this Ronin Mockingbird team, they're going to be better than Omega Red and Weapon X on offense and on defense. So it's kind of hard to justify going that hard for Omega Red right now. Yeah, so we're going to talk about what we should be doing for these characters if we're a new player in a little bit. Then we got war defense teams that are on the fall. It's like not time to try and catch up on these defense teams. Put nothing else into these guys. Hydra, it's been that way for a while. Outside of a rework, Hydra's going to be dead. Young Avengers, America Chavez is a great plug and play character because she gives 25% speed bar on spawn. And we're putting her with better, newer defense teams because she's just like a nice little steroid. After she's gone, the Young Avengers have a big speed problem, and if you get ahead of them with these new statted teams, like even Masters of Evil crushes them now, then it's a big issue. So if you're in the situation where your alliance is like, hey, put Chavez with Darkhold, then there's no more reason to build up your Echo, your Kate, your Squirrel Girl. I mean, they have some good plug and play value. Again, Squirrel Girl is great in Dark Dimension. She could be a good plug and play character. There's no more reason to max out your Young Avengers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's definitely time to get off that. And I know people are going to meme me because they have this weird health trigger, Squirrel Girl and Kate, where it can really mess people up in Crucible. And I would say Young Avengers would get their value back if they added 2 more rooms to Crucible, which they've already said they have no intention of doing anytime soon because that would mess with their early game players too much. Young Avengers also needed for that rogue unlock, but just like Web Warriors, just like the next team we're about to talk about, and just like Minions, we don't know what's going on with those Scourge events just yet. So not time to get on the Young Avenger bandwagon. Then there's the Hero as Guardians. Definitely not time to go on Heroes as Guardians. I know they're needed for the Gamma, the Red Hulk unlock, but again, we need to wait and see what's going on with that unlock. Even then, you could just use Hulk, Captain America, Infinity War, Thor, I think makes that list now. Does he? I actually don't know. There's and Hawkeye makes that list. Black Widow makes that list. So there's a lot better options than like a full Heroes Guardian team. Val is now on there. Beta Ray Bill is on there. Not time to go on Heroes Guardians. Now, Heroes Guardians do have more defensive life than, say, a Young Avengers or a Heroes for Hire because of that Valkyrie passive that can absolutely trip people up. Like if you don't get a double tap with Icarus, or if you just kill the wrong target, and then maybe you have Val on that team instead of Jane Foster and Heimdall, and then Val can one-shot somebody. There's still some life there, but I would argue that even a team like Full Bifrost is starting to catch up in relevance to a Heroes Guardian hybrid. So just be very, very careful when thinking about investing in that team. And then there's the Heartbreakers. These are the teams that there is no reason to invest in these guys at all. And it hurts because the teams are so iconic. So let's talk about Black Bolt. Black Bolt, first of all, you need the Asgardian team to unlock him. He is a legendary. Then there's the rest of his team. And then he and the Inhumans are then needed to unlock Ebony Maw. Black Order, as of right now, would also make this do not build list. They're garbage. Except we know they're getting a rework. But in their rework, we know that the idea is that Thanos is going to get empowered without having to build, without having to put the entire 5 or 4 Black Order piece around him. So maybe Ebony Maw doesn't even make the list. Maybe he's not reworked enough to be relevant. So even that, you need to put a pause on that. You know, put a pin in that. It's not time to build up Black Bolt for that. And the Inhumans. The Inhumans are garbage everywhere. Then there's the Fantastic Four. I think this is the biggest travesty. Like, we've had teams come in that they were relevant, like a flash in the pan, and that was kind of okay. Like, we had the Magic Uncanny. Uncanny was so good for such a long time that bringing Magic back to give them like an extra 4 months of fun, that was worthwhile. You know, Ravagers kind of had that. Marauders kind of had that. But Fantastic Four, when I started the game, they were introduced to take out Shield Coulson. And even that, it was very sketchy because Coulson could just delete your Johnny Storm and then you lost. And then they suck. Now, Invisible Woman is a good Dark Dimension character because she's cheap and she's bio. And that's about it. This one hurts so bad. And they just took Thing off the team for the New Avengers, so it's hard to see when Fantastic Four could be getting the love that they so well deserve. It's a problem, right? These guys are legendary characters, and their team is just not worth building whatsoever. At least like Shuri got the War Dog rework. Iron Man got Bionic Avengers, which we should talk about that. Bionic Avengers definitely make this list. Don't build Bionic Avengers at this point. If you are traversing through Doom 1, Doom 2, they're not even usable in Doom 3. Or no, yeah, Doom 3, they were still usable, but garbage. And now we're in Incursion. If you're in Incursion, you have zero reason to build the Bionic Avengers up. But if you're raiding in the Doom series right now, you still don't build them up. Because a tech team has to be around the corner. Look, me and the rest of the Krakens, I'm not a Kraken, I'm kind of a whale that just attached himself to Krakens. We are not clearing the raid at the highest difficulty. We are doing like 80% where we all kind of pile into one tech node, or one tech lane. They don't like that, the Krakens I mean, and so they bitch and complain about it, and so Scopely will act on that. So there should be a tech raid team literally around the corner. Next patch, the patch after that, we kind of have the assumption that the next legendary is going to be the tech raid solution. We're kind of thinking Green Goblin. So who knows what's going to happen there. But definitely not time to build up Bionic Avengers. All right. With that said, you know, we got to talk about flash events and legendary characters. And the truth is, we don't farm shards for old legendary characters anymore. And you don't need to farm shards for the new legendary characters. Say you get new Avengers free to play, you get them at the 3-star level. All you got to do is build them up with gold and training materials and maybe some T4s. And that's for the new legendaries. Old legendaries, Omega Red, Adam Warlock, Shuri, all those kind of characters, don't farm the shards for them. Same with the flash events. Don't farm shards for, you know, Chaos Theory, Training Day, Block Party. You're going to get that organically. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's going to feel bad every time one of those events pops around and you don't have the max tier for it. But eventually you get there. I did touch on Mercs. I will say the payday event is probably the most important because you get like 3.2 million gold or something like that. The trick for payday event is to build Taskmaster because of Underworld. To build, there's another one who's really good. Killmonger is needed in 3 of the events. And yeah, so Taskmaster and Killmonger can get you through that. But passively get the shards for these characters. You know, buy the Blitz Orb, buy the raid orb with those currencies you get until you have all those characters in that orb maxed out. That's going to really help you just kind of speed up your flash event, but don't overinvest. So for Adam Warlock and Omega Red, you have to build those teams to gear tier 14 ISO 5 green. Sorry, it's ISO green level 5. So that you just have to. That's for the 7 stars. Doesn't mean you need to do that right away. Kind of build those teams up as you're approaching the star unlock requirement for that. But for everything else, level 50, 5, 5, 5, 3 abilities. That should be a 3, not a 4. You don't need to do level 60. They don't need to be 6, 6, 6, 4. I've been talking with people and they tell me that they smoke it with a full team at level 50, which is very, I don't want to say easy because it costs you resources, but it's manageable to do that, to just get your 3-star in the flash events, given the new gold economy. I know people hate that. They're going to get really mad I say that, but bringing a character to level 50 is like 1/100th of the cost to bring one character from 90 to 95. And so it's worth it in the long run there. Or you build just a standout character. Like for the Phoenix, you could just build up Hela. The rest of the characters can just be there at the right star level, get the unlock. For Payday event, you could just build up Taskmaster, Killmonger a little bit higher and get that completely done. So anyway, I hope this video is going to help you guys kind of avoid some of these pitfalls. A lot of the old raid teams you just want to completely avoid. Even some of the new raid teams, they're long in the tooth. They're about to be gone. So I would be wary about putting too much investment, even in Rebirth at this point. I think Invaders, Deathseed, Bifrost, and whatever the next team, I assume there's a tech team coming out. I assume they're all going to be very good for the next raid difficulty, but one of them is going to go. One raid team always kicks the bucket, and Rebirth is kind of the worst of our current raid teams. So just be careful with that. Anyway, I hope this video helps you guys. If it did, let me know in the comment section below. If I missed any teams that you think are absolutely god-awful, let me know down there as well. And if you have a good one, we'll pin it, because we want to help people avoid wasting their resources, because obviously this is such a resource-intense game. So thank you guys so much for coming and check out this video, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful day. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.